Ranger Dave at the Crazy Creosote, and we're doing apples again today. The one thing that people miss about produce and fruit is the seasonality of produce. You go to the grocery store and it's always there. But that didn't always used to be the case. If you go to the grocery store and grab apples, you just always assume that apples are being produced locally all the time. That isn't the case.
They're kept in a freezer for almost a year or a year and a half before they reach your refrigerator, before they reach the store.
So when you're grabbing your what you think are fresh apples, it's apples that have been sitting for a good period of time. Well, what your grandparents used to do, and what we try to do, is find a local source of fresh apples. And we wind up doing exactly, essentially, what your grandparents used to do, is there becomes a mad race to preserve them in their fresh form for the duration to when they come into season again. So essentially this is our little production line. And Kathleen is what are you doing, Kathleen?
Taking out the bad spots.
So we're getting rid of the bad spots. These are fresh apples.
Definitely bad one.
These are fresh apples. Essentially, they do not have any GMOs. They do not have any.
Okay.
They do not have.
Chicken bucket. So everybody gets something.
Everybody gets something. So essentially, the bad apples, the bad parts of the apples aren't even wasted. They go into a chicken bucket, and the chickens get fresh apples. Ruby is coring and taking the skins off the apples, and that's what machine is that?
Just a KitchenAid with the peeler and core.
A KitchenAid, essentially your standard KitchenAid with a peeler and core attachment. And essentially, what your grandparents used to do was a hand core and crank. You get your kids and grandkids to essentially do all that cranking. We can do a little bit quicker with the KitchenAid.
Joel Salatin talks about how we have all the gadgets in the kitchen and stuff to make this stuff easier. So might as well use the gadgets to make this stuff easier. So there's really no excuse for using your local produce, even with all the work that's involved.
And it's kind of fun. It's family time, and you get the rewards.
Sorry, it's got like one of those fresh.
You get rewards of having family time, fresh fruits, stuff that tastes good, that tastes like apples. It doesn't taste like apples that have been sitting in a freezer or have been gassed or have been GMO'd for a period of time.
Well, that's partly why the taste of the apples. You can't get an apple like you got when you were a kid. You know, all these apples they're flavorless. They taste like nothing. These apples actually taste and smell like apples. Even the bad parts smell like bad apples.
Yeah. The other ones take forever to go bad.
So Kathleen, Ruby is coring and skinning the apples. And what are you going to do with this?
If the bugs can eat the apples, you can eat the apples.
If the bugs can eat the apples, you can eat the apples.
And you need to get my pomegranates off the tree.
Yes, I know. I need to get the pomegranates. That's one of the things. We're going to have our first harvest, although small, of pomegranates.
Because we're competing with the birds for them.
Yeah, the birds want our pomegranates, and so should we. So Ruby is using the KitchenAid to core and skin. Then Kathleen gets the pieces from Ruby, and then takes out the bad pieces. The bad pieces go in the chicken bucket.
Really bad pieces go in the chicken bucket. Any other ones that are like...
And this is the good pieces down here, which we're going to freeze. And
this pot right here will be applesauce, because she makes an awesome applesauce. And then once we get this full, then we'll freeze them. But
and then we're not even wasting any of the scraps down there. The scraps going to go in there, Ruby?
Apple scrap jelly. Although I'm basically just making the concentrate juice for it right now because I don't have time to.
Yes, we got a trip to do. So essentially,
I'm freezing the juice to make jelly later. Basically.
All right, so we're freezing the juice to make jelly later.
So once you get these, processed like for the freezer, then you just take that half-gallon freezer bag, dump it in a crock pot, add a crumble, and there you got dessert in 10 minutes.
Yep.
While you cook it in the crock pot.
And it's fresh apples that you pick and that you process and taste like apples that your grandma had.
Yeah.
Right off your own tree. Okay, this is Ranger Dave. Say bye, everybody.
Ah.